Thanks for joining us on the CCLI road trip. I'm Paul Herman here in Nashville with Seth Mosley and his team from Full Circle Music. Guys, this is an amazing place. Thank you for the invitation here.
Thank you for being here. We try to keep it fun for everybody, and as you know, we have a pretty awesome crew who you'll get to meet a little bit here in a minute. So
that's great.
Yeah.
So first, Seth, tell me your Nashville story.
Yeah, so I've been here for coming up on a decade now, which is kind of crazy to say, but moved here from Middle Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, and came down as an artist and thought that that's what my path was going to be, and God had other plans.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere along the lines, I got introduced to the Newsboys, and I ended up being able to produce their Born Again record and co-wrote, I think, 9 songs on that record. So that was kind of the first thing where I felt like the door just kind of swung wide open in the industry in Nashville. It's those moments when people know you for a song or something. Like, I had never had that before. And myself as an artist, I kind of always felt like I was pushing water uphill. So working on that record and seeing it work was kind of like God's confirmation that, you know, maybe this is the lane that I'm meant to be in. And so from there, I kind of phased out of doing the artist thing, met my wife. That was kind of the one awesome thing that came out of my times being an artist. Well, there was more than one, but that was one of them.
The main one.
The main one.
Yeah.
Was I met her. She's from Sweden. We got to tour over in Sweden, and we met and got married a year later. So it was only natural that taking my place kind of behind the scenes, not being at the front of the stage, but being the guy that is here to serve artists and to serve the people that are going out on tour and on stage and up at the front of churches leading worship. So that's what I've been doing ever since then, and it started out just as me producing records. I essentially was playing everything myself, you know, writing a good chunk of everything, or at least co-writing everything. And eventually I got to the point where I was like, this would be a lot more fun and efficient, and I don't know, I just think it needs to be a team thing. That was kind of a word that we felt like we got from God several years ago. So we just kind of kept our eyes open, and first guy that we met that I knew, I was like, okay, this is a guy that I could do a lot of stuff with was X back here. The letter X.
Yes.
Not many people know his real name.
It's a secret.
Yeah. But you would have heard his work on our production for Newsboys Guys Not Dead. So that was the first thing we worked on together, and then we did a lot of projects together. Hired Jericho shortly after that. He runs operations and kind of does everything, everything else. Last summer, I was over in Sweden because we go over once a year just to visit family and kind of check out. And we were thinking about, you know, okay, so we've got this production company, we've got this songwriting piece of things, which is essentially me writing songs for these records. We've got this idea of an academy that was sort of an ethereal thing at the time. We hadn't really done anything with it yet. And somewhere in our minds we had this idea that, okay, there probably should be a publishing and a label piece of this too. But I knew that for that to work, we had to have, the team had to expand. We had to have somebody to run that. And we were just praying, God, who would you bring across our path that is, you know, there's basically the right person, the right fit, because it's not necessarily about who's the most talented or the most resourced, but like who's the right fit for what you have for us. And Stacy Wilbur's name came to mind, and I called her, and she kind of confirmed that she had a very similar experience, which I'll let her share a little more about in a bit. But so we hired her, and she runs the publishing and the label side. And then once we kind of figured out that the academy which is essentially our artist development side of what we do.
Yeah.
Once we figured out that that's actually something people really want more of, they want that from us. They love coming to our live events. They love listening to our podcast. They love learning this stuff and meeting these people in the industry who they wouldn't really be able to otherwise. So once we kind of validated that, we kind of felt the same way, that our team needs to expand. We need to have somebody to help run that, and that's where Logan came in. And we actually met him. I met him at our first boot camp that we did, and he, was just kind of like no-brainer. This is the guy that we need on our team. So he's running the academy side of things. But that's kind of my Nashville story. I'm really passionate about music. I think it's a great time to be in the industry, and I think it's a great time for the church. I mean, God's doing a lot of things with music, breaking down walls that maybe sermons can't. I think we're right in the middle of it, and we're just really thankful.
Nice. Any thoughts or insights for the worship leader or worship team in our church that is dreaming of that project? Anything that comes to mind?
Stacy's the silent assassin over here. I feel like there's wisdom for days. We were just a part of our church's worship conference, which I think both of us are still on cloud nine after that, just feeling inspired and
really inspired. What was the question?
Advice
for the worship leader and worship team out there that's dreaming of doing a project, and may not know where to start or just anything. Any thoughts at all for them?
I mean, I think one of the things we talk about is, just if it's. I think we've all had this dream of working in the music industry in some form of fashion, and I think one of the things that we've done is we haven't given up. We've just kept going after it. We just we didn't give up.
Yeah.
We didn't give up when someone said no, or a door was closed, or we got let go from a company, or I think all of us are so passionate about music. We're passionate about Jesus, and we're passionate about what we do, that it doesn't matter what's in front of us, we're going to keep doing what we're doing. And I think that's the biggest thing for a worship leader or a worship team or a songwriter, not to give up, just to keep writing, to keep singing those songs. It doesn't matter if you're gonna be on the radio or not. Just let those songs come and let them minister to whoever's in front of you at the time.
Yeah.
I think be honest too in your heart of who you are and what you have to say. I think something that's in worship music especially, sometimes people feel that they have to say things a certain way, or that certain things have to be conveyed in a certain manner. And I think the way music has kind of progressed over the years, especially in the past years where worship music's become a lot more prevalent, there's so much room to be even more thoughtful, or to say things in a new way or in a fresh way. And I think people connecting with worship music, people that are looking to grasp onto something, they can really tell when something's truly heartfelt, whether or not it's the perfect way to say the message that they're wanting to say. They can tell though that it's being said with the utmost passion, with the deepest meaning behind it. And I think that's a huge and powerful thing, is just being absolutely true with who you are and what you want to say. And as a worship leader, being someone who's going to lead people into the next day or the next hour or the next week, or even just till the next song comes on the radio, the ability to just convey that truthfulness to them and just give them the strength to carry on till the next moment. I don't know, I think that's just powerful.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it's the easy thing is to look at Chris Tomlin and look at David Crowder, look at Hillsong, look at Bethel, look at Passion, and say, how do we even, that's the benchmark. Where do we even start?
Right.
And I love what these guys are saying is just start with where you are. Don't feel like you have to be Crowder. Don't feel like you have to be Passion. Don't feel like you have to be Hillsong. Just write the song that is for the person on the front row, right in front of you. It's write their story, and whether or not that becomes the next CCLI number one, that's something that is largely out of all of our hands. It's God just kind of has to. There's certain songs that He breathes on, and there's certain songs that that are just for that person, you know, and not it's not right or wrong.
Yeah.
So start with where you are, and if it's the calling in your heart that it's supposed to be songs for more than just your local church, then follow that passion until it happens. You know, I think you got to be willing to look at the backstory of, you know, Tomlin didn't start where he is now. Crowder didn't start where he is now. Hillsong didn't start where they are now. It's decades in the making. You know, so you have to just be willing to push through the desert seasons and start small. You know, it's okay to start small. I think we all have been there, and that's where everybody starts. So
we also have invested quite a lot in online courses so that people can get a lot of our training there. We have a huge kind of master class that we call Music Production Mastery, and so that's available. And then we also actually have some free courses that we even have out there, and there's info on all this stuff on our website, fullcirclemusic.com.
The big thing that keeps circling back around, whether it's in our podcast or even just what we're talking about now, is for us it's so much about like serving people and not necessarily even serving people with any agenda. We always pray that God would bring the right people, that not that God would bring everybody through the door, because I know what we do is not for everybody. We're here to serve people that have a very specific mission and vision. And we love working with churches. We love working with worship leaders, and we love helping them be empowered with not only great songs, but songs that sound as good or better than anything else that's out there.
Yeah.
I don't think the world needs another, you know, poor man's version of anything. I think if you want, you know, our church talked about this last weekend at conference, that if you want Katy Perry, go listen to Katy Perry. Like, why don't we just make the most incredible, you know, worship music ever? So our big thing is to go into every relationship, setting, room, session, not necessarily even focusing on the outcome of that day or what's going to happen, but okay, so there's this person that's sitting in front of me that has a story. There's things that are going on in their heart and in their life and in their ministry. How can I just pray over that and serve them first before even expecting an outcome or expecting a result? You know, obviously we all want the biggest number one song. You know, that's in our humanity to want that. But I think the thing that I love about what we have here is that it's different in that sense, that I know it's not like this everywhere. That our industry, as you know, a lot of it has been a very close-fisted mentality, like, and we're here saying, okay, let's flip it around a little bit and make it about open hands. Like, let's come into every situation with open hands, because, I mean, let's face it, that's just a kingdom way of doing things. Yeah.
Well, there's so many exciting things happening here. Thank you all for sharing it with us. Thank you for watching. Take care.